Hey everybody, it's Uncle Gary again, and I've got a bunch of stuff to share with you today. So we're going to get to a few things. The first one, I'm going to show you a really cool utility that I use to free up some memory on my computer and to make everything go faster. It's a real game changer called OneTab. The second thing I'm going to tell you is a little bit about a cautionary note. As you can imagine, there's a lot of stuff happening in the markets and in the world today. So we're going to go through a couple of points around what you should be doing with your markets if you're in the market, and is gold and Bitcoin actually a valid hedge? A lot of people have been asking me that question. And then the last one is a cautionary from Mr Icahn. He's a very big activist investor. So I'm going to go through a couple of those points with you, and I might even give you a couple of tips and secrets that nobody else might be telling you. So go ahead and jump in with me, and we'll get straight to it. I'm going to jump to my computer Chrome browser now, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what happens in my day when I start using my Chrome browser a lot. I'm obviously working from home, as most of the planet is, and so I get a lot of stuff coming across my desk, and I keep opening up a whole lot of browser tabs, and it drives me crazy how slow my computer gets when I've got a lot of tabs in. It even fuzzes with my brain sometimes to have so many tabs open. So have a look at this, and you'll see here's my browser. You'll probably be going to various things. I'm going to talk about this Mr Icahn article in a little bit with you. I might be looking up a stock and doing some of that. I might be going to FinViz. Whatever the case is, I get to all of these browser tabs, and eventually it just gets overwhelming. I just can't look up everything, and it just gets really, really frustrating. So I came across this utility that I use called OneTab. And if you go to the Chrome store and you search for OneTab, all one word, you can go and install it. It's a very simple little thing, and then it looks like this blue funnel over here. And when I click it, watch what happens. You click it, and bam, it's going to put everything into a single page as bookmarks. So it's kind of like an advanced bookmark manager. And these are all of the tabs that I had open at that moment that I was showing you there. So I can restore them all. It gives me when I created them and so on. If I want to go just back to one of them, I can just click on one of them, and it'll open up that tab and just bring me back to where I was looking at, whatever the case may be. In this case, it was my Bitcoin chart. And then if I want to restore all of them, I can just go and click restore. I'm going to show you a couple of others. So we'll restore this one and that one. And now I can see all of the other times where I've saved things. It keeps a list of everything I've saved. So this is a game changer. I can immediately go ahead and click one tab again, and it'll show me that I've restored and saved these as tabs. Now, it doesn't take up any memory. They're out of the way, and I can go back to my day. And if I want to refer back to something that someone sent me, I have it right there. So this is a huge game changer for me. It's made just such a big difference for me about how my day goes and how I manage my mental energy when using Chrome. So that's the first piece. I hope you get value out of that, and there's no cost for it. It's a free add-on to your Chrome browser. I think there's also an equivalent for Firefox if you're looking for that. So that's something that I find really valuable. The next thing we're going to get to, as I mentioned, is the markets. Now, there's a lot happening. I can't really tell you everything that I'm seeing, but what I will tell you is with the vaccine rollout plans happening in every country at different paces, with the Brexit negotiations that just wrapped up on the 31st of December, and those changes coming in Europe, the hacking of the US, that's a pretty big deal. It's such an active time, we're not really even talking about it anymore. And most recently, for those of you who've been watching today, the storming of the Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. by a mob, that's a pretty interesting one as well. But out of all of this, out of everything that there is to be concerned about, to be looking at in the news, in the media, and so on, one thing that is really interesting is the markets did not care. No matter what's happening at the moment, it seems that the markets do not care. And that's great if you're in the markets and you're one of the people that believes that stocks only go up. Having been in the markets long enough to know that that's not the case, anyone who tells you that stocks only go up, you'll see a lot of TikTokers and YouTubers all telling you that stocks only go up. That's not entirely accurate, and anyone that's been in the market long enough knows that that isn't the case. But if you've only been in the market a few years, for the last 12 or 13 years, it has been the case because we've been in a particular type of market where there's been a lot of very cheap money available. Now, the thing is, at some point, the market will care about something. And you saw that happen in March. We had a shock to the market, and it dropped substantially. Now, it recovered very quickly, and everyone got back on their way. But the point I'm making is that at some stage, the markets will care about something. And we don't know when they will care about something, but right now they don't care. So everything on hopes of vaccines and, hopes of Brexit and hopes of... So everything is basically positive news, and markets keep going up. Even today, as literally the US government had to stop what it was doing because a mob had stormed into the parliamentary building. So that's a pretty big deal for the markets not to care about, in my opinion. But the point is, it doesn't matter what I think. The markets didn't do anything. So here's the thing. The question it begs is there going to be something that the markets will care about? And if so, what do you do about it? Now, a lot of people have been asking me, is gold or Bitcoin a valid hedge against what's happening in the market if it goes in the opposite direction? If stocks don't just go up and they do have a correction, is gold or Bitcoin a valid hedge? And I'm going to assert for you today that no, they are not. And I'll tell you why I say that. If you have a look at this and I go over to my browser again and we restore, let's take Bitcoin as an example. If we restore the Bitcoin tab and have a look at what Bitcoin was doing, we can pull it up over here, and Bitcoin has been on an absolute tear. It is just going ballistic. And what you can see over here is we're on an absolute tear. Bitcoin is at an all-time high of almost $37,800 at the moment. And it is a remarkable thing to see because we've literally gone above the 200-day moving average. This white line over here is a 200-day moving average. We touched over it back in May and then haven't gone that way again. We've just been well above the 200-day moving average. But what I wanted to point out was over here in March, when the rest of the market crashed and we had that big shock when the lockdown started to happen for the first time around the world. Notice what happened is Bitcoin got down to about $3,700. Prior to that, it was idling at around $10,000. And the point I'm making by showing you this is that even if the market crashes, Bitcoin is not going to be left unspared. The days of which Bitcoin was a non-correlate or not related to the market are over. Now the institutional money has bought into Bitcoin, retail money has bought into Bitcoin, even Robinhood money. There's the unsophisticated investors in the US who are just buying anything they can get their hands on. Everybody who's gotten into Bitcoin is going to treat it the same way as all of the other equities and stocks that they have. So I think the days of Bitcoin being a valid hedge are now over, sadly. So that's something to note for yourself. If you are in Bitcoin, don't expect this to just keep going up. I expect it will go up, but don't think there won't be a retracement back down to some levels over here where it's going to retest some levels once things come down because people will try and exit the market. So that's really what I wanted to say on that one. The next things that I think are important are to look at where the market is in general. And what I can do is show you a graph of what something was looking like over here. Now this is a graph of the S&P 500, and it's showing you how many stocks of the S&P 500 are above their 200-day moving average. Now that 200-day moving average is a really important average because it's a note. It denotes whether the stock is above how it's been doing in the last 200 days or not. Now what it's showing you here is that 87, almost 90% of all the stocks in the S&P 500 are trading above their 200-day moving average. For those of you that have been around the markets for a while, what you'll realize and what you'll recognize is that means the market is well overcooked. This is a unreasonably high amount of stocks, all above their 200-day moving average. This basically implies that stocks are doing better. Almost 90% of the S&P 500 is doing better than it's done in the last 200 days. And that you can look back over time and see when that was the case prior by looking at this graph. But it's certainly not. It doesn't stand to reason as the way things were going. But that's something. If you believe the opposite, you can pursue that. 90% of the stocks in the S&P 500 above their 200-day MA is unreasonably high. So that's just a note on what's happening. And then I wanted to switch over to this graph from Mr Icahn over here. You can have a look at this. And Mr Icahn is a billionaire investor, and he is warning of a market rally that could end in a very painful correction. Now, I've already made a video on this. If you look up above the top of the screen, you should see a link to that video where I say that by the end of January, there's going to be some turbulence and a pullback. And what he's basically saying in short, is that he's seen a lot of wild rallies in his days, and there's many mispriced stocks, but there's always one thing they have in common. Eventually, they hit the wall and they go into a major and painful correction. Now, another thing that he says is quite interesting, a little bit down below here, is he said that nobody can predict when this will happen, but when it does, wow, watch out, look out below. And everything they have in common is that everyone always says, yes, but this time it's different. And it never turns out to be the truth. So that's a little bit on what Carl Icahn is talking about here. He's cautioning everyone and saying that even he is starting to hedge his position. So he's not talking about what exactly he's doing, but he's definitely doing something. So little bit on when the very successful elephant and whale investors start hedging their positions based on this kind of thing, something to take note of. Keep your stops very tight. For those of you who are not sure what I mean by keeping your stops tight, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I'm happy to make a short video on what a stop is, but either way, this is a time for potential gains in the markets and a time for great safety. So this would be the same as saying to someone, if you're getting in a car, wear a seatbelt, make sure the airbag is working, don't speed, and keep yourself as safe as you can. This is not the time to say, don't worry, cars always arrive safely at their destination, so you don't need to wear seatbelts, you don't need to worry about insurance, you don't need to worry about the airbag working, you don't need to check your brakes, you can just drive. That is not the case in this day and age. And anyone that's telling you that, I would look and do your own research. This isn't financial advice per se, but definitely something to be cautioning you about. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. And if you enjoyed this content and you think it was valuable, please go ahead and share it with other people. It helps the algorithm on YouTube make it aware that this is valuable content. And if not, and you didn't find it valuable, you can also go ahead and comment down below and please tell me what you would find valuable. I'd love to hear. And then we're going to be starting to switch it up for this year. We're going to be creating some Mindset Mondays and maybe some Mindset every other day videos, so that whatever you're focused on in your life, whatever you're trying to achieve, that you find success with it and we get you where you're trying to go. Thanks for joining, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.